I got to caddy in the LIVGolf ProAm. It started with a text from Big Boy Pants Golf, YouTube's hottest golf channel. We had 5 days to think about what it would be like inside the ropes. We wouldn't know what pros we would be drawing until Wednesday night. I knew that Jay was an awesome player. He won the Live Tucson Pro-Am with Paul Casey. I was excited to experience every hole of the Orange County Crooked Cat layout from the player's perspective and to notice how that experience would influence the main tournament experience. On Wednesday evening, we were told that we would be playing with Brendan Steele for 9 holes and Pat Perez for 9 holes. I didn't sleep much that evening, but that's another story. On Thursday, I got to the course a few hours early. I negotiated my way through the parking system and got my credentials, so I went to the dining room where I immediately started recognizing many of the pros. I grabbed some scrambled eggs and some bacon and sat with a guy that looked like a caddy. The food was excellent and what you would expect for a player buffet. When Jay got to the course, we went over to register, get my bib and Jay's goodie bag. We skipped the handmade leather head covers for the time being. We got a ride over to the range. Jay did some warm-up for the lower body activation. Then he worked his way through his irons and woods. Then we went over to the short game area. I had to carry a bag of range balls all over that area to help Jay practice. Getting into the rhythm of being a caddy was taking shape. After the warm-up, we took a ride over to the putting green where we met Brendan Steele. Brendan and Pat are most gracious individuals. They interacted with the volunteer caddies as much as the amateur players. It's wonderful to hear about people like Brendan and Pat, who are not only talented, but also kind and considerate towards those around them. By treating the caddies with respect, Brendan and Pat set a great example for other players and helps to create a positive and inclusive environment for everyone involved. Onward to the 10th tee, our first. Jay's first shot was long. It ended up in the left rough, but it was very playable. As Jay and Brendan walked up the fairway, Jay asked Brendan how he dealt with first tee jitters. Brendan said it happens to everyone, even the pros, and that you just have to embrace it. I nodded to Brendan as his comment reiterated Zen golf philosophy. You're only nervous because you're about to do something great. Start recognizing the opportunities and the fears will melt away. Over the first 9 holes, the other amateurs were losing at least a ball per hole each. They had high handicaps, so they were helping the team occasionally. We were cruising along when the scorekeeper, Greg, said, "Hey John, you missing something?" as he handed me Jay's driver head cover. It was at that moment that I realized I also lost Jay's putter cover. Not wanting to let his putter get dinged by the bouncing around in the bag, I carried his putter for the next few holes while he radioed back for the head cover to be brought up. I told Jay it would be my penance. All head covers were returned to their proper clubs by our 3rd hole. At the turn, we were waiting for a few of the folks to use porta potties. One of the stragglers came out and sat next to me in the back of the last cart. I asked him, "What do you do?" He said he was an actor. I started to ask him how he acted. I asked him if he memorized his lines or thoughts, if he tried to get into character. We talked for about several minutes about being in the zone in golf and the similar state an actor feels. He said he tried to forget his lines to do his best. I never heard of him or his show, but I was very interested in his skills as he was in the 4th season of Outer Banks on Netflix. His name was Nick Cirillo. On the first tee, our 10th, we met Pat Perez. Pat walked up to me, shook my hand and said, "I'm Pat." I said, I'm nice to meet you." Pat quickly smashed his drive a mile. As he walked off the tee, I said, "I like how fast you play." Pat said, "It's the only way to play." Nick, who plays Barry the drug dealer, started crushing it on the back 9. His tee shots were relaxed and down the middle. It helped ease the pressure on Jay. Everybody started playing looser. Pat made 5 birdies in 9 holes. Nick smiled at me after each of his bombs. Finally, after 17 holes, I figured Nick wanted a selfie. We stopped for a great pic, which I immediately sent to my wife, Kristen, who by miraculous odds was watching Outer Banks in the hotel room at that time.
I'm a little bit closer, but I like your angle.
Yeah, I feel like you went there and you were like, my ball's actually better, but I'm not going to take this one.
No, good perspective. This is a great angle.
Okay, how far out are we?
153, playing 159.
153?
Well, up there.
During the round, I would help Jay with the yardages, the wind, etc. It was fun trying to stay ahead of Jay's needs and out of the pros' ways. I watched the pros' caddies to know where to leave Jay's bag and where to go. It was very cool being inside the ropes with nobody outside the ropes. We were joined in the back 9 by Jay's dad, Mel. Mel walked with us and had a great chat with Pat. I told Mel that my rules were 1, show up, 2, keep up, and 3, shut up. On one hole, Jay was trying to decide between a running chip and a putt. I saw a ridge that would be difficult to avoid with a putter as the ball had to roll along the ground the entire way. Jay had been chipping really well, and I knew he was capable of sticking the chip. When he hit his putter and got pushed way right by the ridge, I mentioned to Mel that this was the one time I would have put on the brakes, but I didn't have that kind of relationship with Jay yet. Mel said, "What was rule number 3?" And we laughed. On our final tee, which was number 9 at Crooked Cat, Jerry Foltz came driving up to the tee. I immediately said, "Hey, Jerry," and reached out to shake his hand. He quickly shook my hand as he continued over to Jay to say hello. Jerry was truly excited to see Jay. Jay had the option to go for the green. It was a 272-yard carry with a quarter helping tailwind. He committed to going for the green, hit a baby draw pin high in the greenside bunker. After some decision making and Pat Perez's declaration, we knew that the bunker shot would be easier than the 100-yard approach. The amateurs were a little intimidated by the sand. The round was finished. We headed over to lunch. At lunch, I accidentally got in Dustin Johnson's way twice at the buffet table. We were the only two there, apparently having the same tastes. I ended up with some prime rib and salad. Mel bumped into a famous baseball player's wife from his favorite team. Mel and Jay let me join them for lunch at the players' buffet. I was so excited I forgot I was still wearing my Caddy bib. One of the organizers came and asked if I would like to give it to her. I asked, "How can I keep it?" She said, "Make sure to hide it from me when you leave." I had a few other things as well. After eating, Mel and Jay cruised through the player gift area. Mel got Jay's Aces hat. Jay gave me his custom Liv Dormy driver head cover. The experience was amazing. The pros were amazing. Jay was amazing. Liv was amazing. Thank you, Eric and Jay, for giving a man something he couldn't have dreamed of. If anyone needs a caddy in Tulsa Pro-Am, leave a comment.